The Free Syrian Army says it will not accept President Bashar al-Assad's new peace plan and is repeating calls for him to step down. Assad laid out his vision for ending the conflict in his first speech since June last year, but it's been condemned by the opposition both at home and abroad.
Syria's President Bashar al-Assad has given his first public speech in 7 months, rejecting the idea of talks with what he describes as the puppet opposition. Speaking to a rapturous crowd in Damascus, Assad, who hasn't been seen in public since November, blamed the conflict on outside forces, using a handful of Syrians. He also said the country is in a state of war in every sense of the word.
Assad added that this process of what he termed reconciliation would only take place once foreign powers ceased funding and arming these anti-government factions. The Syrian National Coalition has long refused any dialogue with the embattled leader, saying they'll only enter into negotiations when Bashar al-Assad has stepped down.
We are now in a state of war in every sense of the word. We are confronting a vicious external war. This form of war is more fragmenting and more dangerous than conventional war, because it doesn't utilize its equipment to hit us, but it pulls us into carrying out its plans. This war targets Syria using a handful of Syrians and many foreigners.
The President unveiled an apparent peace initiative promising national reconciliation, a new constitution and free elections. But he made it clear that he wouldn't stand down anytime soon and that his security forces wouldn't stop fighting his enemies.
Who are we dealing with? People with extremist ideas who only believe in the language of blood, killing and terrorism. Are we supposed to have dialogue with these gangs conspiring with the outside, following the orders of strangers?
Outside the security cordon of Damascus, the fighting continues. These pictures purport to show government jets attacking parts of the capital in rebel hands. Across the country, images continue to emerge, apparently showing rebel and government forces engaged in this worsening war. Even as the President spoke, the United States and other NATO forces continue to deploy Patriot missile systems on the border with Turkey.
Assad was referring to the opposition's Syrian National Coalition. The group was formed in November and was endorsed by Western nations as the legitimate representative of the Syrian people. However, Assad said he will hold talks with Syrian political groups that are not supported by other nations. He also said once the violence ends, his government will draft a new constitution and then hold a referendum. UN Arab League envoy for Syria, Lakhdar Brahimi, has proposed an interim government with the participation of opposition groups. But the conflict in Syria shows no sign of ending, with Assad remaining defiant against his opponents.
The opposition, for its part, said they would not work with anyone from al-Assad's, quote, criminal government, and said they would not accept any plan that doesn't involve al-Assad's departure. CNN spoke with George Sabra with the opposition Syrian National Coalition, who told CNN he repeated the same words and same concepts from the past 2 years of Syrian revolution. Unfortunately, he didn't tell the truth about what happened in Syria. Who bombed the bakeries? Who bombed the petrol stations? He said that his government can deal with the political solution in Syria. If this kind of government can deal with a political solution, why did he wait for 2 years to announce his solution? Opposition activists reported that violence continued during al-Assad's speech, that shells hit several neighborhoods in Damascus, and that it was a particularly bloody day yet again in Syria. This was the first time that al-Assad spoke in 6 months. In that time, tens of thousands of more Syrians have been killed as a result of the conflict there.
There are no good scenarios in Syria right now, and there haven't been for a while. A UN peace envoy is struggling to make progress, partly because so much blood is being spilt and the parties are so bitterly opposed to each other, and partly because the UN Security Council is divided and deadlocked about what to do next.